Lindsey Graham questioned Neil Gorsuch during his Supreme Court nomination, and they had an interesting back and forth that I want to share with you here.
About what's going on in the country with President Trump. Whether you like him or you don't, he is president. But you have said several times that he is not above the law as president. Is that correct?
Yes, Senator.
You told Senator Leahy if there was a law passed that a Muslim could not serve in the military, you believe, based on current law, that would be an illegal act.
Senator, yes, I see that having all sorts of constitutional problems under current law.
So if we have laws on the book that prevent waterboarding, do you agree with me that the Detainee Treatment Act prevents waterboarding?
Yes, Senator, that's my recollection of it. Firmly.
So in case President Trump is watching, which it may very well be, one, you did a good job picking Judge Gorsuch. Number two, here's the bad part. If you start waterboarding people, you may get impeached. Is that a fair summary?
Senator, the impeachment power belongs to this body.
Okay, that's even better. Would he be subject to prosecution?
Senator, I'm not going to speculate.
But he's not above the law.
No man is above the law.
Okay.
No man.
Thank you.
The end was amazing. So, in other words, he's saying, if Trump tortures, would he be subject to prosecution? I'm not going to speculate. But no man is above the law. That's right. No man is above the law. Well, then answer that question. If Trump does torture, should he be prosecuted? The answer is yes. If no man is above the law, then when he asks, hey, if Trump does waterboarding, is he subject to prosecution? Your answer shouldn't be, I'm not going to speculate. Your answer should be, yeah, that's against the law. Yeah, I just told you, no man's above the law, so yes is the answer to that question. And then also, I mean, let's really soak in all the different levels of hypocrisy and absurdity here. No man is above the law, Gorsuch said. Gorsuch donated to George W. Bush for his 2004 presidential campaign. No man is above the law except George W. Bush and Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld and Condoleezza Rice and Obama and Trump. They're all already above the law. Now, why do I say that? Well, Bush waged an illegal war against a country that didn't attack us, didn't have, the UN said the war is illegal, then we occupied them for over a decade. He set up a worldwide torture regime, shredded the Constitution, no more habeas corpus, no more due process, no more protection from unreasonable search and seizure. In virtually every way, he's above the law. He violated, every amendment in the Bill of Rights. No man's above the law, except Bush and Cheney, who can do illegal wars and occupy the countries and do torture and extrajudicial prisons and not give people a trial. And apparently some people are above the law. Now, Obama, why do I say he's above the law? Well, Obama assassinated U.S. citizens in drone strikes. I've never seen a clearer example of something that's unconstitutional and illegal. They say, well, look, Anwar al-Awlaki was a jihadist, so we had it coming. But under our system of government, if you're an American system, you get a trial. That's the way it works. It's not like, whoops, it's inconvenient now, so now let's ignore it. No, you could have even tried him in absentia. He didn't even need to be there. You could have tried him and found him guilty, but they didn't do that. He assassinated a U.S. citizen with a drone, and now no man is above the law, except everybody who's been... Every president post-World War II has acted above the law. Are you kidding me with the fucking... How many foreign governments, democratically elected governments in South America did we topple and put in puppet leaders? That's obviously above the law. We fucking Iran, we toppled their democratic leader and put in the Shah just so we could jack their oil and Britain could jack their oil. Come on, man. What's fucking... This self-aggrandizing bullshit, no man is above the law. You keep saying that, but then we act as if men are above the law. Trump, why is Trump above the law? Well, Trump's above the law. And by the way, actually, real quick, just to go back to Obama, I didn't finish my thought on that. So, it's not just Anwar al-Awlaki. He killed his son, Abdul Rahman, who was not an extremist with a drone. I mean, everybody shrugged. Whatever. Obama tacked on different countries, to the declaration of war that Bush did for the war on terror. So, like, when he started doing drone strikes in Somalia and Yemen and Pakistan, he didn't have a declaration of war to go into those countries, so that's unconstitutional. But he said, no, it's cool. We're going to lump it into the bin of the War on Terror declaration of war. Well, you can't do that. That's wildly unconstitutional. You need Congress to approve each one of those countries you invade. He didn't care. And the Republicans said, I don't know, we kind of agree with them on that, and we want to bomb anywhere and everywhere when we're president, when we have our administration in there. So yeah, fuck it. We're not gonna actually hold him accountable and treat him like the law is actually applied equally. He can do whatever he wants. Oh God. And President Trump, of course, in his first military raid, massacred 30 civilians. 30 civilians, including an 8-year-old girl. Nobody's above the law. Well, except presidents get to, with impunity, massacre civilians, invade all these different countries. Trump increased drone strikes 432% over Obama, and Obama had increased them big time over Bush. So, please, they're above the law. And finally, I just want to point out this hilarious little piece of hypocrisy here. Lindsey Graham, who now suddenly is concerned about, torture. No, we don't want waterboarding. We don't want torture. Apparently, John McCain rubbed off on him. And when I say rubbed off on him, pun intended, he probably rubbed off on him in multiple ways. But John McCain has been anti-torture because he was tortured. So he's like, it's horrible, don't wish that upon anybody, even your worst enemy, and it doesn't work, and yada, yada, yada. So apparently McCain rubbed off on him because Lindsey Graham, first of all, Lindsey Graham never met a war he doesn't like. So he's concerned about, hey, does the law apply equally? It better apply equally, except if I want to keep our military in a country illegally, like Iraq, forever, which he does. He says, you don't leave. That's what he said. He was asked by a reporter, so when do you get out? He goes, you don't get out. You don't leave. So he can illegally occupy a country forever. That's his preferred policy, but no man is above the law. But Lindsey, that's against the law. That doesn't count. What the fuck? And he also was the biggest cheerleader. He just did it recently with an attack recently, a terror attack. He was like, hold him as an enemy combatant, don't read him his Miranda rights, no due process, no habeas corpus. But he was an American citizen. What do you mean? Just declare him an enemy combatant. That's unconstitutional. That's illegal, Lindsey. As you advocate for things that are against the law, you're like, no man is above the law, right, Judge Neil Gorsuch? Fucking clowns, man. I mean, these guys, they never apply the same standards to themselves. And it's the grossest thing because it's just such deep hypocrisy and such absurdity, self-aggrandizing bullshit, as if America hasn't been treating, our leaders like they're above the law for decades.